Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Dr. Nikki Anthony, and I want to welcome you to segment two of our Little Leaders Career Exploration Series. This is where we explore different career paths from a representational perspective. Tonight, I'm really excited because our guest speaker tonight has worked in a field that you don't typically see. Uh, People who look like us in this field. And so she's ready to share with us. I'll have her introduce herself in a little bit, but we will be talking about animal services and sciences, and she has a lot of experience with that. I want to share our mission statement. Just to kind of give you a background, if you are new with us and you've never heard of Little Hands Big Hearts, this is what we do. The missions the mission of Little Hands Big Hearts Little People Service Organization is to develop little people into servant leaders who think beyond themselves for the greater good through explicit and intentional opportunities for character development, selfless service to others, and community-based volunteering. This has been our goal, our mission for we're in our ninth year this year. And I feel like we've pretty much held tight to that. So I'm really excited. Every year we continue to grow internally and externally. So I'm really excited. This series continues to grow and get better and better. We have awesome speakers. This is no different tonight. So I look forward to you all hearing Miss Carly James and what she has to share about her experiences as a zookeeper. All right. So I would like for her to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and work experience. Then we'll jump into our questions.
Hello, my name is Carly. I am a current birth doula in our community in Austin, Texas, and I have worked in several large zoos around Texas as well as a couple of smaller ones. I've got an associate's in zoology, and I have also studied anthropology with the focus on primate studies and animal behavior. Um, I've worked with small animals, I've worked with farm animals like horses and goats, and I have worked with wolves, bobcats, and I've got to sit in on a handful of trainings with big animals like African elephants, and it's all been very wonderful and super rewarding. I started out in San Marcos, Texas, volunteering and then worked my way up. I did a little bit in like animal shelters. I would go to pet shops and ask the owners and sales associates questions about what kind of animals that they liked. And then I started volunteering at zoos when I was in junior college. Um, and it's awesome work. Animals are amazing. It's kind of my favorite thing.
Thank you so much. So I want to ask, as we jump into our questions, what were some of the hobbies that you engaged in as a child that have contributed to you becoming a zookeeper, and even moving into, because you said you had a degree in zoology, your AA, I believe, is in that area. So what were some of the things that you did as a child to help our parents kind of look for those same attributes in their child? What were some of the things that you engaged in?
So I would go around our neighborhoods and ask if I could dog or cat sit for the neighbors. I would also ask friends and extended family members if if they were ever too busy, if they needed their dogs walked, if they needed extra care and cleaning of like the cats, if they had small animals like hamsters or like some reptiles also like snakes. Um, and so I would do like dog walking, cat sitting. We had a few friends that we played soccer with who had farms, and I would go and learn how to take care of like the goats and horses and chickens. Um, I drew a lot and I strictly drew nature, so animals, I was always drawing animals. Um, and I was also able to get into horseback riding when I was in fifth grade because we had a family friend with a farm. Um, and after horseback riding, I would ask to do cleaning around just because I was so interested in like not only the fun aspect of riding a horse, but I wanted to know what you feed them. How do you take care of their mane? Do you need to clean out their like the horseshoes? It just I was really interested in like caring for small and big animals. There's some of my hobbies when I was little through high school.
Okay. So let me ask this. You can't be afraid of animals if you want to move into animal services. Wrong or right?
There were a few times that I was a little nervous because um I mean, you're around bigger animals than you, so you have to be aware and you have to be respectful. So we're not only learning respect for other people, but we're learning to be respectful for other living beings, um, because they can't just talk to you just like we're talking now. They can't write things down on a piece of paper. So you have to be respectful. And yeah, there were a few times I was a little nervous, but talking to other people about how you go about being around these animals, that helped out a lot. So even if you're a little nervous, it's okay because you talk to other folks, and that helped me a lot.
So I love what you said about respecting animals. So could you talk a little, this is a little off script. So could you talk a little bit more about what it is to be respectful towards animals that you work with? Um, I think a lot of people, like we hear, different things of how people treat animals. And I feel like if you have a calmer spirit, in how you interact, even with people, like that should show up in how you interact with animals as well, and you probably would have a much better relationship. So, could you talk a little bit more about what that might look like for a child, respecting, learning to respect animals?
Yeah, so I'm a fairly high energy person. I am one of the louder friends in our friend group and families. So you can have high energy when you're around, calmer people. You try and match that, but still being yourself. So being respectful in other beings' atmosphere, you try to see like their movements. Kind of trying to think of like how you would want to be treated. Do you want someone or something putting their hands in your face, pulling on your hair, tugging at your clothes? If you don't really want that, or even if you don't mind it, just try and take that into consideration again, because animals can't just voice how they're feeling. If they're hungry, if they're tired, if they don't feel good. So just being trying to be a little bit calmer, because you want to be able to try and like connect with animals, and if you're able to connect with them and they can trust you, they tend to be a little bit easier to work with. So just trying to be um, yeah, try to be friendly in a little bit of a calmer sense, but still being yourself and being true to yourself. um, that helps a lot, being respectful in this in other space.
Thank you. So, did you ever think that you would end up becoming a zookeeper when you were little and you're caring for all these animals, your neighbors' cats and dogs, and going to the horse ranch and all of that? Did you think that that would be where you landed eventually? If so, how did you know? And if not, and it was a surprise to you, like we know it was a good surprise because you took the challenge, but just kind of talk about that.
I didn't think I would be a zookeeper. I knew I wanted to work with animals no matter what. I thought I was going to go immediately to like vet school because I was like, oh, animal care, veterinarian. Um, that or working and or owning a pet shop because animals are there. But as I got older, I was like, oh, vets have to give medicine. That sounds like a lot. um, but then I found out about zookeepers. I was like, oh, you can work with more than just like cats, dogs, hamsters, snakes. You can work with a huge array of animals or just one thing that you really love. There's zoos everywhere, just like there are vets, but I love the idea of, again, caring for animals. Um, you know, it just, being a zookeeper was cool. You're working indoors and or outdoors. You're around a lot of people who also love the same things that you do. Um, and so I was like, oh, I don't have to be a vet, but I can still do animal things. I can still be around all of these really cool creatures. I can be indoors and or outdoors. There's a possibility of like going different places. So when I learned about zookeeping, I was like, that's it. Here we go. Let's do it.
So, favorite animals so far that you've been able to work with? I'll give you top three. Give me a top three, so I'll make it a little bit easier for you.
Okay, so I love an armadillo. They're just they're small but they're mighty. Like they can't see very well, but their hearing is better than ours. I love how they look because they're just weird little guys. You know, they've got this cool little shell that's for protection, kind of like a turtle. They root around. They're just weird looking little creatures. I love them. They're amazing. Um, Another favorite would be this creature called a coati, and they look like a longer raccoon with a skinnier tail and a longer nose. I love them because they get into everything. They're very curious. They are they like being in groups, so they like friends. But they're also really good by themselves. They're also independent creatures. But they just want to know about everything, and I am quite a curious creature myself, so they're wonderful. And then I really appreciate reptiles, so I love a snake. There's such a wide variety of them. They're beautiful. um yeah. My mom doesn't love them, so it was always fun like coming home with different facts about them and just like, but it was just like, oh no, but there's so much to appreciate about a snake. And she's still not uh she doesn't love them, but she likes them and she has a lot more respect and appreciation for them. So that was a lot of fun helping her along the way to learn about things that like you might not really be interested in, but then you grow to be okay with them.
So, do you think that maybe your love for animals kind of helped to move your mom along in her journey in dealing with animals she didn't really care for? And I would also like for our people who are viewing at this point, throw your favorite animal in the chat for me.
Yes, I think my mother was very much she's very much an indoor gal, and she is like cats or a dog, like that's it. So when I was little, I wanted to tell her everything about everything. My dad is a big nature enthusiast, and um even whenever I would see things that like I was not certain about, like for a little while when I was little, spiders kind of creeped me out. I just was not certain about them, like what do they want, why do they move like that. And his patience and appreciation for them helped me learn that, okay, they're not bad. They're also not so much in my space, like they're not looking to harm me. I can love them from afar, and they do a lot for humans and the rest of the world. And so when I would learn new things about animals, I would take it to my mom because I was like, "Well, you're going to learn what I'm learning, and this is really cool." And I think that definitely helped her along the way. She's still not like, "Oh, let's go out on a safari," but she's also very much like, "Okay, well, these things are pretty. I can love them from afar, and that's that." So I love that. That kind of opened up her eyes and her heart to a lot of different things.
So let's get into communication. And we had a few responses. Favorite animals, giraffes and chimpanzees. And I think you said that you had a specialty in apes when you were giving your introduction. So you can talk a little bit about that if you like. But what communication skills are required to effectively function as a zookeeper? So talk about communication, especially I would imagine you work with zoologists, you work with different zoo staff. So, what kind of communication skills are required?
We love a chatty Cathy. We love people who love to talk. Um, Even if you're not a constant talker, being able to sit and talk with your friends or your family members about things that you're interested in, you just slowly get the flow of it. Um, that helps. Um, Clear communication, like kind of slowing down, because like when I get excited about things, I start talking really quick, but just, taking deep breaths and clearly communicating with people. um Public speaking, that plays into it, because um a lot of zoos do keeper chats, so you're talking to schools, you're talking to groups that are coming in to see you all, that are part of like a birthday party, you're talking to just a gaggle of like a mixed group of people who are stopping in at certain times to hear you all talk about different animals of the zoo. So you're holding an armadillo and you're going to talk for about anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. And that might include giving really cool facts about this creature. You might talk about their diet, their exercise. Are they a lone animal or are they a group animal? Um, the care that you're giving them. Um, so being okay with public speaking really helps. Um, and again, I started doing that with like my mom and dad and then my friends. I mean, I was going to like birthday parties when I was little, and I was like, "You want to know about a parrot?" Um, and just talking about things that you love. Majority of the time, people are really going to like it because they see how excited you are about it. That helps. Um, Patience with yourself. Be patient. Sometimes it's hard getting um, a good flow of speaking in front of small or large groups, but believing in yourself and just going for it. That helps.
Yeah, I love it. So I love the part about public speaking. That's something that I work on personally, but I think all of us should work on it, being confident speakers in public and knowing how to communicate the things that we are trying to communicate well, getting our points across and all of that. So I would love, 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 love for our parents to, just take those opportunities to have their children be public speakers in different capacities. Be the family speaker when you go to the restaurant. Learn how to communicate at the grocery store. No, we'd like to have this, and so many skills that are being built in those times. We have a question. Is it too late if I'm 9 and don't have any experience with animals yet? This is a question coming in. So, if you're 9 and you have not had experience with animals, is it too late to consider being a zoologist? You can feel free to come off mute. And then my next question will be, so you can answer that one first. And the next question will be character traits for your profession. What character traits are necessary? So, take it away.
Um, Nine. I mean, so I started going to different places around the town that I grew up in, which is a smaller place, and 9 is perfectly fine. You can go and ask to volunteer at places if you're interested, or again, if you have family friends or um, like extended friends who have pets that they want to teach you about. You absolutely, 9 is not too young. A lot of zoos and animal facilities have volunteer programs as well as summer and winter camps that you can start in. I think the youngest that I have been around at a summer camp was 5, 6. So 9 is perfect. Um, and then some character traits. I would say starting out, so soft skills. So um, like being friendly, being talkative, being kind to other people. These are these are wonderful starters. Um, Being a team player, as someone who cares for animals in whichever capacity, you need to be able to work with multiple people because sometimes you have to go to trainings and other times you are just learning to do something by yourself with just one other person who is training you to then turn around and train an animal. So being open and willing to working with a small group or a number of people. um, we love a teammate. We love a team player. Also, if you need help with doing things like sometimes you have to build an enclosure, and it helps if you have multiple hands, um, because it's still work. You're still having to knock things out. So you might have to turn around and ask, your friend Nikki, hey, can you come over here and help me build this fence because it it's broken, and well, we can't let these animals out with a broken fence, and it's much easier with multiple hands. um Patience, again, not only being patient with yourself because learning, it starts with us, um but you have to be patient with other people as well as the animals. They, like I said, they cannot pick up a pen and paper and tell you that they don't feel good, that they don't want to go take their medicine. They can't tell you that they just really don't want to eat apples today. Um, and Being able to be patient with animals really, really helps. You have to sometimes be able to load up an animal on a trailer to move them from one area to another. And it's not just snapping your finger and they're up there and they're ready to go. Like, you really have to you really have to be patient, um, with animals yourself and with other people. Let me see what else helps. Um, being having having empathy. So caring for others, is wonderful. If you can care for yourself, if you care for your neighbors, you can care for animals. Loving and liking others is very helpful. To be a zookeeper, to be a vet, to be, yeah, just a caring person is great, a great start.
And I also wanted to add, if you're looking to get into like animal services at age 9 or younger, look at the local zoo. And then also for little people, I think the zoo has a teen volunteer program, Jack Zoo, but our Humane Society, Jacksonville Humane Society, they have a program called Positive Reading, PAW, Positive Reading, and basically they are kind of rehabbing animals who have um, experienced abuse. And so, one of the ways they do that, they teach them how to socialize by having children who are developing their reading skills and can be anywhere in the reading in their development. So, whether they are excellent readers or really struggling readers that are trying to become excellent readers, any child pretty much qualifies from what I have seen. We've done it years ago, we did it. And what you do is you go into the Humane Society, they'll pair you with a dog or a cat. I've only seen dogs. And you just take your favorite book, and the animal sits next to you, and you just read to the animal. And it's teaching the animal how to socialize while it's giving the kids the opportunity to learn different reading skills. So whether you're working on fluency, comprehension, phonics, so decoding or encoding, whatever you're working on, those skills can be practiced. So look into that also. And if I come across any more, I don't mind sharing. So just reach out to us. Thank you for sharing that. And so we have kind of talked. I want to throw in another question. It's kind of not on our script, but what's a memorable experience that you've had with an animal, whether it was like a scary one or a funny one, or we've seen like the bloopers on YouTube and social media where an animal might flagellate or something while you're trying to talk to them. So, do you have a memorable experience with an animal that you don't mind sharing?
Oh my gosh, so many. One of my favorites, I'm kind of clumsy person. I trip a lot, and we had a rainstorm in Fort Worth, Texas, and we were trying to bring the animals in, and we had a deer named Peggy, and she just really liked to give everyone a run for their money. So instead of it just being her main zookeeper, her main caregiver, it took four of us to try and round her up while it was raining. So we've got mud and just it was a mess. And her enclosure was at a slow decline. And I decided to try and run on one side while the other girls were on the other side. And I tripped in a hole and I rolled down the hill into her pond. Um, so that was fun, trying to run after a deer covered in pond sludge and mud. One of my rain boots got stuck in a hole. It was a whole ordeal, but it was just funny. We ended up getting her in to her enclosure, I think after about 35 minutes of chasing her around. So you a sense of humor also is really helpful because um animals have a great way of just showing you that you can't take life too serious. You just they they're definitely giggling at us on a daily basis. So that was probably one of my favorites. Um Also watching just different trainings of some of the bigger animals. I got to sit in on a bear training with one of my best friends at the Fort Worth Zoo. She only works with like big animals like bears, moose, like just big, big guys. Just watching how calm she was, just talking to each of these animals and just how confident and strong. Um, and then after she would finish up with her training, she would turn around, just big eyes, big smile, and she was like, "Did you see this? Did you see that? Oh my gosh, I'm excited that so and so did this and they were cooperative, or like we just learned a new skill." And it's a lot of fun watching your friends succeed with things that they love, and it's one thing to hear about it, but getting to watch it um, is really cool. It's just really cool. And it was a bear. It is a big old bear. And she just acted like it was nothing. She's like, "Yeah, this is my day to day. I'm just hanging out with these grizzly bears." Yeah, all right, okay. So those are some of my favorite things.
Love it. So I'll
Yeah.
share one of mine. It's not a favorite, it was a funny one. My granddad had um, a mare, and her name was Deborah in Tennessee. And Deborah was very mean. She was very mean. She was ornery, and she didn't like us to ride her. But my granddaddy always insisted that we get to ride Deborah around his land, his farm. And this particular time, I got on the saddle. I climbed up and I got up on the saddle, and I guess they hadn't strapped it on tight enough. And Deborah started to move because she would kind of move to shake us off. She started to move, and the saddle slid under her belly, and I was holding on underneath like this. So that's my story. I'm not. I love animals. I love nature. I've been on a safari in Kenya and all of that. But domestic animals, I don't do domestic animals. Like those are not my favorite. So that's my story. So,
Horses are funny. Horses really do have a mind of their own, and I have heard many of stories of horses just being like, "That's not happening today. We're not doing that." So
right.
yeah, especially the mares. Yeah.
So, next question. Is there any reason that would make you encourage people to try a different profession than zookeeping? If so, what would be that reason and why? Or would you encourage people to go into zoology or zookeeping? Well, zoology, I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna say that. And why?
I really don't have anything to try and sway people away from it. It's so it's so cool. Like you're working with animals. You you can go anywhere. You know, if you want to stay in Florida, in Texas, you can do it. There's places. But you can also go all over the US. You can go to different countries and learn, take classes, work with people, volunteer, internships. It's so cool being out and about with animals and being around people who have similar likes and loves as you, because then you're learning from these people also. I would say, if you don't maybe if you don't like being dirty all day long, because I mean, like, you're around animals, you're outside, you're building things, you're tearing things apart. But even then, I mean, like, you can go home and bathe. I I don't. I would tell everybody that I know, like, go work with animals. It Animals have taught me so much. Um, Even from being a little bitty and just like looking at animals in like coloring books or magazines. Um, Animals are so smart. They're beautiful. The way that they care for their own communities and neighbors, how they help our planet, um, the weird things that they eat. It just, I would tell everyone to be a zookeeper or a vet, um, and you're caring for another living being, and that's so rewarding. Um, and then you get to, yeah, you learn really weird, funky things, and you get to share them with a lot of people. And it's just really beautiful. It makes my heart really happy. Um, so no, I would tell everyone to go and be a zookeeper.
All right. So everybody go try it at least once. If it don't work out, then go to the next profession. That's the joy of starting early. You can figure it out on the way. So two-part question. First question is, what's a lesson that sticks out to you? And these are all scripts. Sorry, but not sorry, because I think you can handle it. So what's a lesson that sticks out to you from maybe an animal that you work with or a situation you experienced in working with an animal? And then, second question is, how many pets have you had? And what were the animals? And then what were their names? Because I think we get real creative when we have our pets and we name them and things like that. And I will ask the audience to drop your pets, the type of animal it was, and the name that you came up with. And I'll share our family pets. My dad is a dog guy. He could probably be a vet. He loves animals. And so I grew up learning about them, not necessarily loving them, but I did learn a lot about them. So you can handle those. And then audience, throw your responses in the chat also.
um, One lesson that I have learned, I'll say, from working with like older animals. Um, they are stubborn just like humans of all ages, but with animals, just I worked with an old, a guinea hog, and they're a bigger hog. Like, they can get about like 500-600 pounds, and they do not move quickly at all. Um, just being patient and kind, and watching things age is hard. um Watching things that you love age, in my opinion, is harder, because I want them around always. um and it has just shown me, um to have more, um compassion for older beings. Like, we're cared for when we're little by, older siblings, our parents, our grandparents, teachers, guardians. And when you have to care for older beings, it's, you yourself have to slow down. You can't always just be rushing, because they need for you to be patient and kind, and understand that, like, their bodies don't move as quickly as yours and mine do. Like, we're little kids, like, we're strong, we're unbreakable, like, we can do anything. They can't. They need they need help. And yeah, it's just taking a deep breath and being like, all right, what are we going to do today? What do you want to do today? And it's taught me a lot more like compassion for older animals, older people, because we all deserve care and love and patience. Um and it's just they're still so cute even as an older creature. Like, I love a little puppy, but like I love and appreciate my old 14-year-old dog as much as I did when she was little, because she still needs me. She's still got that puppy inside of her. She just moves a little slower, you know. Oh gosh. I have had so many animals and cared for so many friends' animals. We always have had dogs in our family. When I was little, we had a beagle named Lady. My parents named her. She was she was a lady. She was very kind and sweet. And as she got older, she got louder and louder and would just wander the yard and just scream bark just to let us know what was up. So that was fun. We also had two big labs, Dakota and Coco. My mom named them. We had a cat named Nermal. She was a black cat, very sassy, loved climbing trees and going on walks in the woods. My brother named her from a cartoon, the cartoon Garfield with the orange cat. Um, I've had goats. The goats that I had, one of them was an all white goat. His name was Charlie Bob Whitey. I don't know where I got that name. I just thought it had a really good flow to it. I had a teeny tiny, like a little miniature goat. Her name was Chewbacca because she looked like Chewbacca off of Star Wars. I also had two other goats, Maggie May and Valentine. Valentine had like this misshapen, splotchy heart patch on her back, and Maggie May just that just sounded like a farmyard name, and so I went with that. I've had a bearded dragon, which they're so cool. He was like a light brownish tan color, and his name was Bosley, but I did not name him. I got him from one of my college classmates. She wanted to rehome him and did not want to take him back to like a pet shop, and I was like, oh, reptiles, easy peasy, got it. He was marvelous. I would put him in my hair, which my mom did not like, but I would just put him in my hair and I would do my schoolwork. I would take naps with him and he would sleep across my neck. He was cool. He was great. Um, we had turtles when we were little. We did not name them. We had a bunch of fish. We had hamsters. We had Speedy and Slowy, but they were opposites. So Speedy was very slow. Slowy was very fast. I've had four guinea pigs. I can't remember all of their names, but one of them was Sugar Britches. He was just a very sweet guy. He was colored like a pumpkin. I've had rats. um, and gosh, and then I've cared for people's horses, pigs, rabbits. Oh, we've also had rabbits. I've had four rabbits. I can't remember any of their names. They were interesting pets. A couple of them really enjoyed being held, and other ones were very much kind of like a standoffish. Like they would come up to you when they were ready for cuddles, and then they would go off and curl up and go to sleep on their own. Um, but I have sat for a handful of people with snakes. Those are always really cool because, again, like mom did not love having snakes around the house, so she would not allow me to have a pet snake. But I still thought it was really cool that I got to take care of school friends and family friends' snakes. Because then I just got my little snake fix that way. Um, and then we had a handful of neighbors with horses that would let me go and feed their horses, and that was a lot of fun. And I did that before I got to do horseback riding. So watching these horses in our neighborhood, and then being able to go and feed them, and whenever mom and I would go for our walks, being able to watch them just like run around and be happy was really cool. So Yeah, there's been a lot of animals in and out of our house. I tried to get a potbelly pig. My dad was for it, my mom was not.
Wow, that is a lot. So we had a few comments, and I'll share those, and I'll share what we had in our house, and what I've had personally. So Eva Dodge, she said they had a dog and a calf. The dog's name was Rock, and the calf's name was Johnny Thunder. She bought me a horse for my birthday last month, so we got a horse, and our horse name is Noble Steed. He lives down
You
in
got a
Daytona.
horse?
I do got a horse.
I'm
Let her
jealous.
tell it it's not my horse, but I claim him. It's my horse named Noble Steed. And then we have Myron said he wants a bird, and he loves small dogs. And then we have one more comment. Growing up, this is from Internet. She said, growing up, we had several dogs, cats, birds, rabbits, and goldfish. Too many to name. And then Juanita Anthony. She said we had dogs and goldfish. So in our house, what we had were dogs. Like I said, from early on, my dad always kept dogs. His favorite dog, when he was growing up, he had a German Shepherd, and the dog's name was Cisco. And beautiful dog. He raised the dog until the dog passed away. And so from then, he always loved dogs. So us growing up, myself and my brother, we had Mickey Mouse, we had Pluto, we had Ruffles, we had we had Roller, we had Rock, and then my dad got me my own dog. My dog's name was Baby Boucher, Louise Anthony, and I had to give him my last name. And then a little bit later, I had a dog named Sophie, and Sophie was my baby until I had to give her away. In college, I had beta fish that I overfed, and because I believe I like to eat, so I thought my fish would like to eat. And within about a week, they were dead. And then I got a I got a turtle um, in my second year in college, and I named him after my brother. So my turtle's name was Arlen Anthony. And then when we were little, we got a bird. I don't know who it was from, one of the neighbors or something, and the bird's name was Charlie Brown. So that's the extent of our, I'm gonna say mine and our family's interaction with animals. So that's that.
Y'all had a good little
So
gaggle. I love it. You had your own little
let's
zoo. Yeah.
so let's talk about the educational requirements or whatever trainings that are needed. You did talk about, having a degree in this area. I'm sure there may be some certifications that you had to go through. So talk about those for anyone who was looking to go in this direction, and maybe how far they could go. Like if they continue to go through schooling, where they could land. What are some possible jobs that they can land in that service animals and science, animal science.
So I started out in like high school trying to figure out where there were like animal certification classes. If it was like, do I need to go to a technical school? Is this like a trade type thing that I was going to look into? Do I have to go to a junior college? Do I have to go to a university? A lot of zoos want you to have experience, base level experience. So if you're volunteering again, amazing, because you're starting out at wherever you're starting out at whatever age is great, because that gives you a lot of experience. When you're volunteering, you still learn about diets, husbandry, which is like the care, like cleaning, um, uh, interacting with the public, doing your own kind of like keeper chats. You still get to handle a handful of different animals depending on the facility. Sometimes it's smaller guys like rats, snakes, um, bugs, because bugs need care too. Bats, armadillo, there's a wide variety. So you're still learning these. So volunteering is wonderful. If you can again get in at a zoo or another animal facility, showing that you are willing to volunteer your time. Volunteering is unpaid. Um, you're going in your during the week or on the weekends, is wonderful. Then you can do internships, and the internships sometimes are paid and other ones aren't paid. But that gives you a little bit more experience, a little bit more responsibility, because then you are sometimes giving medication. You're helping the vets at a vet clinic or the hospital or at an animal sanctuary or a rehabilitation. So you're taking on a lot more responsibility. And then when you're doing like zookeeping or um, you want to be a scientist, you're taking on even more responsibility. Typically, all of it, right? Um, so I um, I went through high school and then I went to a junior college and I took like my basic, math, science, history courses, and then I did more specific classes. So I did zoology, anthropology, oh golly, what else did I do? Animal science. Those give you a lot of knowledge. Some junior colleges have like the primate classes because I'm really interested in primates. I love apes, I love monkeys, I love lemurs. Um, I took some classes at a university because when I was going to school, I thought you had to have a degree. And again, some zoos want you to have a bachelor's because that shows that you're willing to take more classes. And other zoos just want you to have experience. I do not have a bachelor's, I only have an associate's, and I've worked at some like bigger zoos. So if you are doing your volunteering and your interning, and you've taken a few classes, that's good. You don't mind talking to the public. Um, they love that. you know you like talking to kids, you like being around big small groups. Boom, you're their person. They love that. Other places will want you to do continuing education classes. So you've got your volunteering and interning, you're already working at the zoo or animal facility of your choice. They'll want you to go to like conferences, so you are going to conferences. You have a special interest in bears. So you're going to continuing education conferences throughout the year. So that could be two, that could be five. And usually those are in different states. So showing that you are willing to continue learning throughout your career is a big plus. Um, Let me see some other things that you can do. Um, Knowing CPR is great for animals and humans. Some animal facilities will want you to go and keep a CPR certification. So you're learning like more health helpful ways to keep an animal alive in case they choke on something. You know how to turn right back around and help that animal come to. Um, I don't have any specific certifications that I had to hold at the zoos that I worked at. So that's going to depend on just individual places. Um, I mean, like when you're in a zoo and you're working, you've made it. In my opinion, like you've made it. You go and you're welcome to continue learning things. Or some places are just like, okay, you've got this volunteering, you've got these internships. We're very happy with what you're doing. Um, but I believe if you can continue like reading about specific animals that you love, that helps because I mean, there's things that we learn throughout the years about different animals, about different care for small things, for big things, different things that the planet needs. So I would say like try and keep your heart and your mind open to continuing to learn throughout your career wherever you land. That's a big plus.
I love that. I love that. I remember having a professor that said he's a student for life, meaning you just never get to a point where you know everything because life and earth and the world and society are always changing and evolving. Just think about technology. Something we have today, iPhone 17, next year to be iPhone 18, probably sooner than that. So life is always changing and evolving. So make sure that you stay in a place of learning and growing, which are just some of the tenets of this organization: lead, serve, grow. We should always be in that pattern: lead, serve, grow. So, last question, and take about maybe a minute or so to talk about this. How would you encourage a parent of a child that's interested in your field, in zoology and being a zookeeper? How would you encourage them um, in dealing with their child? You know, maybe the parent doesn't like animals as much as their child might, like animals, like you said, your mom. But how would you encourage them? What are some ways that parents can support, whether in conversation or exposure to different things, and help their child to become whatever that end goal is? So, if it's a zookeeper, if it's a zoologist, if it's a behavior analyst for animals, if it's a marine biologist. I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point. So all of these different areas that they can go into, a veterinarian. What are some ways that the parents can support them?
First things first is I would say try and put your shoes excuse me, try and put yourself in your kiddo's shoes of like when you were little, what was something that you just really loved and were interested in, and you know, that's your kiddo now. Like they want to learn about this, they want to do this. So how can we better support um our young community members? Um Learn with them. Even if it's, I've got a couple of friends who, when their kids get to talk about stuff, they're like, all right, here we go. And I'm like, but they're so excited about it. Like let them talk about it. You can still be doing your thing in the same room as them and just let them talk to you. Let that, plus that gives them, um, that helps them practice talking to other people, public speaking. Like I want you to be comfy with this, so talk my ear off. We can multitask. Teach them responsibility for different things. If they want to be caring for others, how are you caring for yourself first? If you can't care for yourself, how are we caring for the community or animals? So teach them responsibility on, caring for themselves. Give them new responsibilities. Let them help you make dinner. You have to make diets for all kinds of animals, and it's not just tossing a piece of lettuce. Like you have to cut up salad and fruit and meat. Um, Sometimes you have to give weird biscuits, you know. If your children or anybody else in the family has to take medication, help them set a timer because there's certain times of the day that you have to do this, and it has to be done every single day. Um, Watch movies with them. Um, Take them to zoos or um like little petting zoos, ask them what they like about zookeeping or animals. Um, just like, why do you like this? And then again, they get to talk to you. They're getting more comfortable. They're building confidence in themselves because they're like, let me tell you what I know about dot dot dot. So get them to talk about these things. Ask them questions. Be curious. Be excited for them, even if it's something that's just like, oh my gosh, this is so silly. Be excited because when people show interest in what I'm talking about, I'm like, here we go. Let's do this. I want to tell you as much as I can about this. Um, what else? Be real with them. Like this isn't always going to be sunshine and butterflies. Like it can be hard sometimes, but again, you're not doing this alone. You have the support from myself, from your friends. You'll have teammates who are going to be there to help you along the way. Um, let them know that it's okay to ask for help because yeah, there's a lot of hard things that you have to do, with any job, but like with zookeeping, like you have to work in different climates, different atmospheres, different times of the day. Like, all right, well, we've got to get ready. We've got to get up and ready for the school bus or to be at school. Animals need you up and ready to go early in the morning. It's not like a 10, 11, 12 o'clock thing. Like you're at the zoo working at 7 a.m. and sometimes you're working until 6 or 7 p.m. So, let's get up and get going with our routine. Some animals have to stick with a sharp routine. So it's good getting the kiddos used to routines. And learning with them, chit chatting. Um, I would say just be excited. Just be excited for them. Show them that you are interested in things that they're interested in. Um, we need our zookeepers. We need our animal care specialists. You know, they need as much care as humans do, if not more. Um, they help make our world go around. So these are some really good things that you could do. Tell them about things that you've done with animals. If whether it's you only had one friend that had a dog, like, well, what do you know about this dog? Kind of like share things back and forth with them because again, it just gets them talking and shows them that you care and that you're interested in something that they're interested in.
I love that. I have really enjoyed this segment. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I just a little tidbit. I got a lot of success when I was in the classroom with children who were struggling with reading when they were able to do nonfiction, mostly with animals and learning about bugs and things of that nature. So if your child is a struggling reader, I'm going to challenge you to find out what their favorite animal or bug or whatever it is and learn how take them to the library, let them get a subscription to like highlights or something coming to the house that they get to look forward to, and challenge them to learn about it and then be able to write a report about it. This is all language and literacy development. So I know kids, especially primary age kids, they love nonfiction. So just a little tidbit. Hopefully it helps you. I'm pretty sure it will. But yeah, tonight is we're coming to an end. I want to say thank you so much, Carly, for sharing with us. I have really enjoyed this. If anybody wanted to know a little more, is there a way that they could contact you, whether email or LinkedIn or anything? And if not, that's fine too. If you have a way, I don't mind putting it in the chat. If you don't have a way just yet, we can come back to that later. Um, that's that. I want to share just maybe two announcements or a few announcements that we have going on. Yesterday we had Serve Day. We had a really awesome time at the nursing home. So thank you to everyone who came down and served with us. Our next event will be this Saturday. Our Teens Teach Tech team will be training the community in digital literacy. We're going to be at Highlands Branch. Library. So stop by to hear them. They are really awesome. I'm very proud of them. They have been doing this training since October, and we just get really rave reviews when they share and as they train. We have a really um, growing team. They're growing in their professionalism and their speaking abilities and how they engage with the audience. So I'm really proud of them. So support them. Next Sunday, we'll be back for another segment called The Office Hour with Dr. Brianna Patterson. This is for post secondary transition. So if you have a student that is getting ready to transition out of high school or is in high school and we're trying to prepare, please tune in. Please tune in. We have feel free to ask questions, all of that. And Dr. Patterson will be available to answer those. And that's all I have. Oh, next month, segment 3 of this series, we are focusing on STEM and mass media. We have Chief Meteorologist Jordan Ambrose. He's in Alabama, and he'll be sharing with us. So I'm really excited about that. And on that note, we are going to call it a night. Thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful night.
Bye, friends.